Curious, when you guys were recruiting Isaiah, did you picture him as being as much of a short catch wide receiver with long runs after? Or did you see him kind of being a deep ball guy?
Yeah, the one thing I remember about Isaiah is contested catches. You know we thought he ran good, but that's the main thing that stood out to me was contested catches. He's a strong guy. And strong guys with good ball skills and good body control can make contested catches. So I identified him as a guy that could run those screens that you've seen the last couple weeks. I mean, we identified that pretty early. My experience with those screens are, you can scheme that stuff up, and I think Luke and Justin have a great feel for where those defenders are going to end up. But you can't just throw those things to anybody. The worst screen guy I ever had was Tavon Austin, who's a really, really, really good player, but just sucked at those screens, And so I think there's a knack for that. Guys that are fearless, guys that can run through the ball and run through contact and bounce off of people certainly help. And then it turns out once he gets out in the open field, he can run pretty fast. So it's good to see him running with two shoes. Looked even a little faster, So he's really playing well. Proud of him. He practices hard. And like we talked about last week, when guys get that look in their eye, you do what you got to do to get them the ball. That's obviously an easy one that I can get them the ball.
Can you describe your
I'm sure they're not going to take any of that away next week.
Can you describe your commitment to the run game and how that has evolved over the past, well, not evolved, but just how that's worked over the past 3 games, and what about Saturday at Maryland made it click the way that it did from the start?
I think it starts with Maryland's athleticism off the edge. I wasn't going to look at what I'd looked at the previous 2 weeks. I mean, we had to do something different. Wished I would have had that mindset probably the previous couple of weeks. But when we just really challenged everybody involved. I thought our receivers blocked as good as they've blocked. That matters. The tight ends are getting better. Emmett ran hard. The young kids got in there and ran hard, and then obviously everything starts up front, and right from the get-go, you knew that our mentality was a little bit different when it comes to that, and it just makes it so much easier for me to be patient and stick with it when you're getting good positive yards. We only had a couple of TFLs. I think two is what we ended up having. 1 sack and 1 negative play on Heinrich's edge play that we snapped him the ball, and both his tight ends whiffed. I guess they were mad at him for something that happened in the tight end room. But it just makes me more comfortable, and you just stick with it and stay with it when it looks good. I mean, when you're moving the ball, and that stuff looks good, then we definitely want to stick with it. So I think we took a real jump in the right direction when it comes to that.
Overall assessment of your quarterback's play?
Really good in the fourth quarter. Really, he starts good, and the fourth quarter has been off the charts good. And for the second week in a row, I couldn't be more proud of how he just didn't cave. Because that's a hard position, and I really one of the reasons why we wanted to run the ball is because those dudes were so good off the edge, and I was tired of seeing him get hit, and I'm sure he's tired of getting hit, and so we made a concerted effort to keep him clean. He got hit once at the end of the half when they knew we were throwing it, just based on what the clock was. But other than that, I thought we kept him pretty clean. Obviously, there's a couple of throws that he'd like to have back. He's just got to he's got to take care of that thing better. But man, his demeanor on the sidelines was good. It was determined. He wasn't pouting. He wasn't pissed, and he was, obviously a little disappointed in a couple of the decisions, but just stuck with it and then just played as good as anybody in the country for that fourth quarter.
Coach Will mentioned that it felt like you guys were starting to kind of tailor the runs, like you had figured out what the offensive line was good at, maybe what the backs were good at. How did that start to come into focus in the last couple of weeks?
It's you just got to keep working at it. I mean, every game's different, every week's different. We just identified some things that we felt like we could do and challenged them. And, O-line got fired up about it. Emmett got fired up about it. And, we had early success, and when you have early success like that gives you confidence, gives me confidence to call it. It gives those guys confidence in what the play calls are. And they wanted to get better at it, and they wanted to execute it. So, that's coaching. Just what schemes are good against what defenses, and this is a different animal that we're playing this week. I mean, they're some of those runs that we had last week probably won't be there this week just because the bodies are different. And so it's our job as coaches to put those guys in success in the best position to be able to be successful, and we'll find a way to move the ball again this week.
Coach, Minnesota has taken the ball away a lot this year. What have you seen from their defense? Why they've had so much success with the takeaways, which appears to be one of their real strengths?
They just so dang sound, man. I mean, it's impressive. I got a new coordinator, but it ain't new defense. I mean, it's the same defense that Coach Flex had there since he's been there, 9 years or whatever. The one guy went to Michigan State. They're well coached on defense. The other one went to Miami last year, and they're playing as good a defense as anybody in the country. So they're it's the same stuff, and they've been doing the same thing for 9 years. I mean, got a lot of respect for PJ and what he's done. It's a sound, stingy defense. And those guys they shed blocks up front. Those backers come downhill. They commit safeties to the run game as well. So it'd be a different challenge and another challenge, And it's Big Ten football Friday night, so fired up. Never been there. Excited about going there.
Obviously, this is a type of Emmett's from Minnesota. I know that program means a lot to him. Have you talked with him about what this game is going to be like, staying in the moment? And obviously, it's probably gets him a little juiced up, but staying focused.
He's the most focused guy on our team. He's the same guy every day. I mean, he plays so dang hard, and this team, Nebraska, means a lot to him. And his teammates here mean a lot to him. And what's he second in the Big Ten in rushing right now? So, we've had a lot of discussions about the run game, and we have the number 2 rusher in the Big Ten. So I'm sure this one's going to mean a lot to his family. He's going to have a lot of people there. I watched his story on his family, which was pretty special. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely watch it. But just proud of him and his success, and everything that he's been through since he's been here. Things are starting to pay off, and so I'm sure it'll be pretty special for him. But he won't be any different. He's going to be the same. He's going to be the same guy Friday night that he's been since I've got here.
What did you see from Emmett when you got here last November? He really started to take off.
I just think his confidence is just really at an all-time high right now. I mean, he wasn't playing as much as he wanted to. He's my kind of guy. He's my kind of back. We had some good backs and all that, but he's just so versatile in everything that he does in the pass game and blitz pickup and running downhill, making people miss in the open field. He made 10 humans miss. That's hard. He made 10 humans miss on last Saturday. I chart that. That's something that we talk about every week, and to have a guy that can do all those things and then get out in the open field and make people miss. He was so mad when he went on that 50-yarder. He was like, Coach, I'm so sorry. I got to go score. I got to score. I go, look, I'm going to give you the ball again. Just go score the next time you got it, But he's a total running back. He can do all that stuff, So. And he just keeps getting better. And then there's that confidence thing, when you start rolling, and he knows how I feel about him, and he knows I'm going to get it to him as much as I can possibly get it to him. And that gives him confidence, and he plays better because of it.
Hey, Dana, can you speak to Emmett's mindset and like the moment in his development in his career at Nebraska that he faced last year after the season? There was uncertainty about, at that point, before the bowl game, whether you were going to be here long-term, whether he was going to be here long-term. Like, what kind of conversations did the two of you have that, have really have really paid dividends here.
Yeah, we had real conversations. We had 2 or 3 of them, and I didn't know what his mindset. It kind of caught me off guard because I was like, his production started to go up once I got here because I recognized his skill set. And so when he came in, it caught me off guard a little bit. I'm like, wait a minute here, man. I just committed to staying here. I need you to commit to staying here too. But I understand. I understand how he is feeling, and but at the end of the day, he just was like, if you're staying, I'm staying, and we're gonna make this thing. We're gonna make this thing good. I go, I promise you, we're gonna make this thing good, and you're gonna be a big part of it.
Anything else, Coach?
Yeah, you've been through this many times where your name's attached to a job. That even happened earlier this year, probably with Oklahoma State. How did you see Coach Rule handle the last 48 hours when all that stuff swirling around?
He's a pro at it, It's just part of the profession. I haven't talked to my agents about anything. I'm not going to. I don't care. I mean, our job. He feels the same way. Our job is Friday night, trying to get our team ready to go play Minnesota. And that's, if you're thinking about anything else other than that, you're doing your team a disservice. And I promise you, he's not.
Good.
All right. Thank you.